possibility that I'm about to bite off more than I can chew is not insignificant, but since I am feeling ravenously hungry this evening, we're just going to ignore it. The good news is it's going to be another cardboard craft, which I know you guys prefer because they are easier to replicate at home, unlike my projects that involve woodworking and tools and danger. I've been staring at this back wall of Lotus's enclosure for the last 3 days, trying to decide what to do with it. Not that it needs something doing to it, but my brain spotted the potential and now I can't leave it alone until it's fulfilled. And the quickest and easiest solution that came to mind is just to build a squiggly tunnel back there, which I think is a pretty decent idea. Straightforward, extra enrichment, can get it started and finished in an afternoon. Obviously, that means I'm going to make it unnecessarily overcomplicated. And not a single member of the audience gasped in surprise. Where am I going? All the things are already over here. I'm using this piece of cardboard as the backing of the tunnel, so I need to draw the actual shape of the tunnel on it. It's not going to be like that. That really would be overcomplicating things. Doesn't really matter if I make it too wide because I can always cut it thinner afterwards. Wiggle. Do we think that this needs to be just a little bit more narrow? Because keeping in mind this is going to have a whole frame built on top of it, it's going to be 3-dimensional, and it's going to have papier-mâché layers, which is going to add to the bulk. So I'm thinking just trimming a smidge of the width off might make it better. And as you can see, Lotus is a small little guy. Excellent, well done. I think we can afford to lose some width on that. In order to protect myself from some of the responsibility of this potentially going wrong, I reached out to you guys to ask what I should turn it into. I posted a poll over on my Instagram stories. I wasn't going to give you complete free reign over this and give you just an empty box to give your suggestions. So I gave you 3 options to choose from: snake, caterpillar, or worm. And you did not disappoint. You chose the option I was the most apprehensive about because I do think it's going to be the most difficult out of the 3. We're going to try and turn this into a caterpillar. Over here I have some strips of cardboard. This is some cereal box, and these have been cut into 2cm strips, bent at the ends. There's going to be a little bit of glue that is going to be stuck. Bend it over and also stick that. I'm using PVA craft glue, which is safe for pets, to hold this in place while it's drying so it doesn't just pop off. I'm going to put a little bit of masking tape over that. But masking tape is not safe to be chewed on, so you can use it to hold things in place while they're drying, but you must remove it before giving it to your pet. I've finished with the first layer of cardboard strips, but you can see there's still some gaps on the curves. I need to wait for these to dry, and then I can remove the masking tape from the bottom and layer up some extra pieces to fill in those gaps. This is how things are looking after the second layer of cardboard's been added, so I went round with more cardboard strips, exact same method. If I wasn't in the pursuit of voluntary suffering, I could just put this in the enclosure exactly as it is.
We're moving on to do a layer of papier-mâché, which is French for tedious and time-consuming. Why did I scrumple and unscrumple and re-scrumple and unscrumple and re-scrumple and unscrumple a bunch of printer paper? It's because I don't like printer paper. I don't like working with printer paper when papier-mâchéing. It's too stiff, it's not good, it doesn't mâché the paper well. But the alternative is tissue, and tissue is arguably worse. If you try and do paper mâché with tissue, it falls apart, it clumps, it rolls up, it gives you a bunch of texture you don't necessarily want. So the middle ground solution is to take the printer paper and scrumple it and unscrumple it and re-scrumple it and unscrumple it and re-scrumple it and unscrumple it. And what you're left with has a softness similar to tissue, but it still has the structure of the printer paper. Then you just rip it up into small squares and get some PVA glue mixed with a little bit of water just to make it smooth and easy to spread. And piece by piece, you glue it to the cardboard. When you've covered the whole thing, set it somewhere to dry, or if you're impatient like I am, throw it in the oven. 100 degrees for as long as it takes. Don't ask me the exact amount of time. I didn't count. I just set a timer for 20 minutes, came back, checked on it. If it was still wet, I set another timer for another 20 minutes and just kept doing that. It'll dry in the end.
Once the paper mache is fully dried, this is nice and solid. We're still missing a bum and a face. I made the choice to assemble those two parts separately from the main tunnel because I thought it'd be less of a struggle that way, and I also decided to film the process of making a papier-mâchéing them off camera. Did I actually film them off camera? That's not how filming works, is it? I assembled and papier-mâchéed them off camera because I wasn't entirely certain that I wasn't going to start a fight with myself over this, and whether or not that ended up happening, I'm leaving as a mystery. So we have a butt, we have a head, we have a body. This is all going excellently. I want to put another piece of cardboard on the bottom of this to cover up all the mess. So I have another cardboard worm. I'm going to glue this to the bottom of this, like that. And then I'm going to glue this to this, and this to this. And then just one more layer of paper mache. Oh, I am going to cut these extra floppy bits off as well, because they're kind of redundant at this point. It rubs the lotion on the worm. And we stick... Well, that didn't stick, did it? So put some glue on the back of this as well. Sticky, sticky goes the worm. Bit of glue, stick, bit of glue, stick. It was not of my intention for it to turn out quite this lengthy. Alas, it is what it is. We will be back when it's finished drying. The next layer of paper mache is going to go around these gaps here where the head and the butt meet the body, just to cover up that awkward bit. And I'm also going to add a layer along the bottom to properly fix the body to the new base. There's not one single logical reason why I can't just get the paints out, paint this like a caterpillar and say it's done. I could have it finished within the hour. That would just make the whole thing too easy. It would be too simple, too straightforward. And we cannot be having any of that here. The moment you start making sense is when everything starts going downhill. This is hamster safe clay. I'm not going to show you how I made this because I've already got not two different videos, one video showing two different methods for making this yourself at home. It's really easy. I'm going to take this clay and I'm going to smear it all over my caterpillar, like cream cheese. I find the easiest way to apply paper clay to a model and get a nice smooth finish is to use a spoon or various sized spoons. Apply it with the spoon, smooth it on with the back of the spoon, use the handle of the spoon for detailed work, and when you're bored you can use the spoon to play a fun little tune. In case you're wondering why I bothered to paper mache this, knowing that I was just going to cover it in clay afterwards, technically, you can just put the clay straight onto the raw cardboard. The reason I don't do that is because the clay is surprisingly heavy, and if you just throw it straight on the cardboard, there's a good chance it'll distort the shape. The paper mache creates a hard cast around the cardboard which is fully capable of supporting the weight of the clay.
This is so weird and so unnecessary. Look at we both got real good at burning bridges. Yeah, we're both strange but so different, baby. I think it's over now. Is it over now?
This is your spine on scoliosis. Just say no to having bones. Remember kids, your bones can't be in your body without your consent. Oh, hello. Hi. Hi. Yeah, we're gonna paint it now.
Turn it all to the garden of Eden. I can make the great
turn cold. I can make the sun come out. I can make the bland turn gold. Show you what it's all about. I can make all your edges smooth. I can make your visions come true. Just like a filter. Whenever you want me, I'm here for you. I make you brand new. Just like a filter. All of them flaws, baby, worse than yours. Let's bang it true. I can give you a rhyme and go easy. You just have to give in to the feeling. Don't you know that believing is see it? Let me paint you a world you can dream it. I can make it colorful. I can make the sharpness blur. I can make it possible.